What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either Twitch or YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
I'm trying to think, what wrestler was it that did this? As I did it, I was like,
I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is.
Like,
maybe I've heard you do the Hogan, but
the Hogan also, you gotta do the mustache around.
I don't got the mustache in right now. That's off the table.
Dave's like, I'm gonna have to work on that.
I can let it grow back. It looked horrible, but I can let it grow back if the fans want it.
I just wish mine connected. Like, I'm
just
not
give it some
trimming
time. It will.
I'm not trimming it. I just wish it connected. But we got a jam-packed show today, talking basketball, talking a little MMA, talking a little NFL. No wet boys today, obviously, because nothing happened yesterday. It was just nothing. There were things that happened, but I could not look Dave square in the face and pick another Champions League player. Knowing that I do not watch the Champions League, I could not do that yet again. And most of the guys I picked, it's funny that most of the guys that have like 3 goals, their team wins like 5-2, 6-0. Like, they just blow them out. But before we get into everything, quick housekeeping. Number 1, Discord. Join it down below if you're on YouTube, Discord into Twitch, to join what I am now calling the best community on the internet. Just like Trump. I'm just, you know what? That's it. Boom. Stamp of approval. Best community on the internet. No one can tell me otherwise. That's what it is. That's how it's got to go. If you want to support us, patreon.com, the best supporters in the internet. I'm going to say that as well. Patreon.com/MVP.
Isn't there a reason why they want to join Discord that's coming up very shortly?
Yeah, we're going to have a Discord mock draft. More about that coming out in the future. I realized last night, I'm like, I should record like a video where I map down all the rules, but we'll put that on YouTube. Join the Discord now to get ahead of that, though. Thank you, Dave, for reminding me of that. And you can also support us by throwing us a sub on Twitch, where we're live every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVP vids. And we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. But, Dave, let's get into everything. And the first thing we're talking about today, the best off-season news for me, well, best NBA news. Like, I love draft and I love trade rumors. Those are the two things that get me going. We talked about James Harden yesterday, and today there was a little bit of a nugget dropped by Shams of The Athletic. He said the New Orleans Pelicans are openly discussing point guard Jrue Holiday in trade talks, and several contending teams are interested, sources tell The Athletic. Holiday, who has been with the team since 2013, has been a popular name in trade discussions. Just look at our timeline. We've talked about it a million times, I feel like.
We have a couple.
As the Pelicans navigate a rebuild through their young players. Thought to be one of the better defenders at his position in the league, the one-time All-Star could bolster a contending roster. Holiday was the 2020 NBA Teammate of the Year, so his locker room presence is something that may be appealing to other teams. He's coming off of a 2019-2020 campaign where he averaged 19.1 points, 6.7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game. Dave, who's trading for Jrue Holiday? What contending teams do you think he should be traded to?
Dude, there's a laundry list. Like, okay, you start, if you go to the East, obviously the Miami Heat would be interested because guess what? You got a two-way player who can knock down shots from the outside, who's got incredible work ethic, so that fits the narrative already. Then you go over to the Bucks. Guess what? They need to get rid of Eric Bledsoe. They need to get somebody in there who can not shrink in the playoffs. I mean, that's what, no offense to Bledsoe, but that's what he's known for now. This is multiple years. While he is a good player, when they need him most, he has not been there for them. I think obviously the Sixers would love to have someone who has his ball handling and creation skills, someone who can facilitate and space the floor. That just, it seems like a no-brainer fit. The other ones I've heard, obviously the Nets, because they're the Nets and they want an embarrassment of riches over there, moving on from a Spence or a Karras or whatever the hell they want to. They easily could go after this deal, depending on what they wanted to give up to fill in that third guy to go with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I would love that. Just depends on the price. Mavs, another team. Nuggets, another team. Utah Jazz, another team. Like, you just keep kind of going. Like, this is, the problem is, He's a player.
Soapy said to me, Nuggets, he said, get it done. Gary Harris, Will the Thrill, and a pick. Get it done. That's what Soap said.
I don't know that that's enough. What's his contract remaining? 2 year?
His contract remaining, let me pull it up because I was opening up a trade NBA.
No,
for
fair.
the Pelicans, he is at 25.3.
For how many years?
For 2 years.
Oh, so it's a 2 year deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year and then the year after.
Perfect. So, yeah, I mean, like, there are so many teams because he is that, like, he's the Klay Thompson of the guard position, you know, where Klay can be is the 3-and-D wing that every team, regardless of what they're doing offensively, defensively, he fits.
Yeah.
And that's Jrue Holiday is exactly that for the guard position. He can play the 1, he can play the 2, he can play on ball, he can play off ball. Incredible two-way defender, incredibly well respected across the league. Great locker room presence. Like, he ticks all the fucking boxes you want. So Jrue to Minnesota, Eric's tossing out there. I mean, like, he would help defensively immensely with that team. Yeah. It just depends on what that price would be.
Could they get the number 1 pick for Jrue?
Oh, no.
Could
no,
they?
Not
like
on his own.
Not on his own. Like a pick swap, Jrue, maybe like a guy like Jackson Hayes, because like Jackson Hayes the Pelicans like, but is he expendable because he's not a part of the main core?
Yeah, he's expendable. But again, how does he fit in next to Cat? Like, I get you want to toss in young, promising piece, but that's a team that
you need more of a 4. You need more of a 4 than a 5 because like Cat. The only thing with Cat is I don't want him. The more I've looked into him, you don't want him defending on the outside. You want him more inside.
If he can stand in the middle, maybe there's a better shot. But like, it's just. Yeah, that's a team that wants to compete. So Jackson Hayes not maybe on the best timeline. I know they have like Melly out there at the 4, but like he's critical to them because he's a good fit next to seemingly good fit. I don't know the stats because it's been a while since I looked at the Pelicans numbers post Zion return. But I think next to Zion, you want a floor spacer like Melly out there in short minutes. So it could be interesting. But yeah, no, like he could land anywhere. So. If you want to pick a team, I will be happy to talk about it. But basically, any team who wants to compete this year, I could see the Warriors going after him.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? Like, that could be something of like, then it's basically you have your lineup of, I would say, Steph at the 1, Jrue at the 2, Klay at the 3, 2 great defenders in Trey in Jrue and Klay. Or they could or they could just do it where it's like, okay, either Steph is injured, Steph needs to take a game off, Steph needs a breather, and then it's fucking Holiday and Klay out there.
Yeah,
and it's like,
here's the thing: they don't have to move on from Wiggins to make that kind of a deal happen.
The number 2 would be involved, right?
They could do the number 2 involved in that situation. Like contract wise, there's some playroom there, so. I love the idea. Like, again, we're talking rich getting richer here. That's exactly what this is. This is a team with the Warriors who they want to come right back in and be the best team in the West. Like, no doubt in my mind, that is a team where, you know, Steph is looking at being like, we took our year off. Clay's healthy. I'm healthy. Dre's going to get back into shape. Going to maybe fix his garbage-ass shot this season. Go back to 2016, Dre, turn the clock back.
Yeah.
You know, if they still have Wiggins on the roster, maybe they could work with it. If they still have that number 2 overall pick, great. But like, they could compete for a championship if they added in a piece like Jrue Holiday. That would make them elite on the wing defensively. Not only do they have an amazing stopper in Draymond Green in the post, but like they would have great wing defenders. So it would give them an incredible match. Like they're just a matchup nightmare at that point. And with the movement on that offense, oof. Dude, that's dirty. That is potentially the dirtiest team. Like I thought the Nets would be like, oh, that's broken, but the Warriors actually that's broken.
Can I throw out one that's going to be A, controversial, B, in order to do this, I don't think it happens because in order for this to happen, a James Harden trade would have to happen first.
No, we can have stipulations.
Could you imagine the 76ers? If Daryl Morey gets James Harden, and let's say he ships Ben for James Harden, could you also see him going, you know what? Maybe this team with Jrue and Harden would be better if I can get a Jackson Hayes, and we see add whatever picks and stipulations you want. the core of the deal, because salaries work, Joel Embiid to the Pelicans, Jrue, Jackson Hayes, and whatever extra you want to the 76ers, and the 76ers shock us and don't just move on from Ben to get a James Harden. They move on from Joel Embiid to get younger players, more draft picks, because I feel like the Pelicans would have to give up more futures because Joel is higher than Jrue, or do they even out because of Joel's injury history? Like, that is something you talk about contending. It's like, if Daryl Morey's going to shake things up, is he going to ultimately shake things up and be like, well, we're going to move on from Joe and Ben?
You're going to get buried for that take.
Like I said, don't think it happens. It's just an interesting thought that came into my head.
Moving on from one piece of Ben and Joe, sure. Moving on from both Ben and Joe, impossible. No chance it happens. I like not in the next year. The zero negative. Never happening this year. That's moment right there for me.
Like I said, it was stepping out onto a ledge. And it's like a lot of things would have to happen, but like I just thought to myself, you bring up contenders because like Miami is a no-brainer. Duh. Goran Dragic, free agent, trade for Jrue Holiday. You can let Dragic walk.
Do a sign and trade,
or a sign and trade if the Pelicans even want him. But at the same time, what contracts do they have?
Trade
up
Goran Dragic.
Yeah,
you can't trade him. He's not under contract.
Well, yeah, no, but you can't like if you're gonna trade for Jrue, you need a contract to eat up salary,
right?
And like
that's what I'm saying.
The Heat don't have that, so good point. Like I don't know. I was just looking at them like the 76ers. If they're gonna like, how much is Daryl Morey gonna shake things up? I don't think the Nets make a move. They're not in the mood for that. It's basically like
really. I mean, I could.
You think the Nets could?
They've been looking for a third guy, and I think that as much as the fans and everybody else has been screaming, Karras is that third guy. Like, Karras is that guy when he has the ball in his hands. We haven't seen Karras play well without the ball in his hands. When he was stuck out there with Dinwiddie, and I know obviously there's a difference between Kyrie Irving and Spencer Dinwiddie running an offense, but he is better without that point guard, ball-heavy dominance out there. So, like, I do think that he might kind of fall into odd man out situation. I think he's got a great value around the league because of what he's done. At the same time, it's not super high because of his tendency to be injury prone. So he's a guy where I could easily see him being a swap with Jrue and maybe a little bit of leverage.
So the one I've got is it would be, this would have to happen A, after the draft, and B, it would mean whoever the Nets are taking with the Philadelphia pick, they'd basically be drafting for the Pelicans. And it would be done after. It'd be LeVert, whoever they take with the Sixer pick, and then sign and trade Joe Harris. So it's Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, and then whoever they pick in the draft for Jrue.
Any other options other than moving on from Joe Harris?
I mean, there could be. I just threw Joe Harris in there because he would be a contract that could basically eat it
my
up.
thought is like the Pelicans already have JJ Redick, and the Nets really need to keep that outside shooting from Joe Harris.
Yeah.
Like it seems like every team needs that pocket 3-point shooter kind of guy in order to compete at a high level. That seems to be a trademark at this point. So I think they want to keep Joe Harris. I think a lot of the other guys who are still under contract, any one of them could get moved. I mean, you could see a Jared Allen move. To be honest with you.
If Jared Allen is in the deal, I think they need... No, that would work. So Karis Allen, and then whatever pick you want to add on for Jrue Holiday, that would actually work.
I don't like that's a question of his value, because I think that Karis and Jrue are pretty close in value at this point in their careers. Like Jrue, established veteran, 2-year deal. Karis is under a contract, correct, for a little bit.
3.
He did sign, 3 years. So like honestly, they're pretty close to value in my mind. I don't know that you would have to toss in anything else. You just need to find the way to make that contract situation work between the two of them, whatever that gap is.
Yeah, I mean...
You don't, like, value-wise, I think if you do Karis and a pick for Jrue, that would be about even. It's just you have to find a way to make the money work around that, obviously. So
yeah, the money... So based off of what I'm seeing, just working with it here, with Karis and Jrue, there's about $5 million that's left over. So, like, if you're looking contract-wise, Jared Allen worked even though he wasn't exactly $5 million. The only other contracts that the Nets have in that area are Garrett Temple, who's a 1-year deal for exactly $5 million. Then Zana Musa is $2 million, so that drops.
Right.
I don't even know if I added Musa and just did Musa, would that even work?
I think, like I
wouldn't.
said, I think the value of Karras plus pick plus
That's
filler
enough.
makes it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really think that like I said, he's got a great value out there. A lot of teams think that he can be on the same level, or I should say, in the same range as a Victor Oladipo, a Donovan Mitchell. Like he fills very much that same aggressive two guard who can create for himself, and can get buckets. He can get to the line. Like he does all the right things. It's just he's got that knock on him with the injuries now, so he's maybe a lesser version. He's pretty close to Vic, I think, as far as value goes.
So the other
comments.
I want to bring in Eric. He said Holiday and Booker, and Phoenix with Booker and Holiday backcourt. Here's my question though: with that, would Ricky Rubio be included in that deal? Would it basically be swapping Ricky Rubio for Jrue Holiday in a sense? Like, because I don't know if you're going to run a lineup that is Rubio, Jrue, and then Booker at the 3.
I'd probably put Jrue at the 3.
Yeah, well, could you do that? That's the thing. Like, would you want to do that if you're the Suns?
You could, and it would be interesting. It's just a question of cost. I think that Booker plus Rubio is a really good backcourt. Yeah. I think Rubio is required for that offense to run as smoothly as it does. And I think it's at a very high level when Rubio's on his game. So like, I like the idea of adding in Holiday to that team, but like you already have Bridges out there who looked really good.
You have a Cam Johnson who
plays the 4 for you, who looked really good.
Could also be bounced to the 3.
Kelly Oubre is the guy.
Yep.
Because there were a lot of rumors about Kelly Oubre being shipped out of town because he is a black hole of offense at times, and they can perform well without him in the lineup. So it does raise the question of, would you ship a Kelly Oubre, Jrue Holiday as the core of that deal, and obviously supplemental pieces to fit around that to make that deal happen? That would intrigue the hell out of me. Like Kelly Oubre is a guy who he does have upside still. Like he's not he's coming into his prime. He's a good player. He's maybe not the smartest guy off the court. I don't think anyone would argue that, but on the court, he can score, he can defend. He just needs to facilitate better, and I don't know if that's in him. So like, worst case scenario, he is your backup wing to help out when you don't have Ingram out there. Like that's not a terrible thing. It's still a downgrade going from Jrue to him, but like if you can get, the Suns, what are they? Suns are 10?
Yeah, I was gonna say, would Oubre in the 10th for Jrue Holiday, would that be enough, or would they have to? There's 3 second-round picks for the Pelicans. Would they have to add 2 of those in? Where it's like, yeah, I know you're getting Jrue, but fuck it, we'll give you the second rounders.
I could see them giving up 1 second rounder and Jrue for 10 and Kelly Oubre.
But here's
my mind value wise teeters about right.
Yeah, here's the other question though, and I know that it depends on in Phoenix what do you want to do, because there are many people throwing out the value of Oubre in the 10th to move up to number 2 with the Warriors to get the number 2 pick. If you are, let's say fucking Wiseman's gone at 1. Let's say the Hornets and T-Wolves switched and Wiseman or Edwards, one of the 2 are gone. If you're then the Suns, would you rather trade for Jrue Holiday? Like, is your timeline like, hey, we want to build off of that bubble. Jrue Holiday does that. We'll trade these for him. Or is it a sense of, you know what? I'd rather give up a Jrue Holiday in the 10th to move up, get a younger player who might not help us this exact season, but can grow with this team. Because, like, Cam Johnson's still young. Mikal Bridges is still young. Like, that's the thing where it's like, Devin Booker's not getting any younger. So, like,
Cam Johnson and Devin Booker are the same age, I think.
Good point. Like, it's just like, even like a DeAndre, like, would you rather have that younger point guard
You
like a
confused me
LaMelo
on that,
Ball.
like your whole lead up. I think you fucked up the teams because I got really confused there.
So
But
basically,
would
it's
you
the
rather
Sun
go for Jrue Holiday and
or trade up to the
or
Warriors and
Trey?
get whoever's at 2, whoever you want.
I mean, what's your goal to? Do you think that you're going to get an Anthony Edwards? Do you think you're going for LaMelo Ball, Denny Avdia, like,
I would say either Ball or Edwards,
or an Obi Toppin? Are you going mystery box? You know,
I would say the 3 things is Ball would be on the board, Edwards would be on the board, and either Denny or Obi, because like the thing with Cam Johnson,
Wiseman goes 1 to the Charlotte Hornets.
yeah, or if Wiseman's there,
I'm
it's
cool
like
with it. I'm cool with it.
I don't think
You don't
Wiseman's on the board for them, even if he's there
already. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Or is it because you could not?
I mean, for me, it's just because what I'm seeing in a lot of Suns boards is Cam Johnson's a mystery piece of. You can play him at the 4, or you can play him at the 3. So like an Obi Toppin,
his foot speed at the 3 is questionable.
Yeah, like,
that's all I'll say. If people drive on him, he gets exposed a little.
Yeah, like an Obi Toppin, you could play either one of them either way. Edwards would be at the 3. Denny Abdia, if you got up and drafted him and Cam Johnson could kind of switch off 2-3 depending on the situation. Like
3-4.
3-4. Thank you. Does that intrigue you better than trading for a Holiday? Because I feel like a Holiday would be a move of, we went 8-0 in the bubble, we want that, and Jrue Holiday can increase that and can give us that.
I was reading a hilarious thread today that kind of explained their 8-0 run, and it was like, they face this team and these people are out. They face this team and these people are out.
So wasn't
they face
that
this team and these
impressive?
people are out. Going 8-0 is always impressive in the NBA. Like, no matter who's out there on the other team, going 8-0 is impressive, and I do want to give them credit for that. But at the same time, you have to understand the circumstances might not have lined up perfectly for those other teams. And yeah, maybe they a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B here. I think the Suns played extremely well. I think we saw one of their best forms of offense and defense out there. We saw some of their best lineup. We saw some of their best rotations. But at the same time, the quality of opponent at the time perhaps was not the best. So my concern is I heard the rumors today of the biggest non-mentioned secret is Devin Booker wants out, followed by no, Devin Booker doesn't want out. He loves Phoenix, da-da-da-da. And I'm going, it's been how many years? They've reunited D'Lo and Cat up there in Minnesota, and everybody knows what their next target is. Like, I think you have to try to win for Devin Booker to keep Devin Booker from demanding a trade. So I'm going towards the Jrue Holiday deal rather than the trade up for LaMelo Ball, an Anthony Edwards, Denny Avdia, an Obi Toppin. I think
keep
that
Booker
those
happy.
guys put you on a timeline that perhaps isn't ideal, whereas Jrue Holiday instantly puts you in the competition for that 4 through 8 spot in the Western Conference. I think that this team has the modern offense that you're looking for, and guys who can play up on defense to a level where, hey, we're in business. We're able to hold our own versus any team in the NBA. Devin Booker can get as hot, if not hotter, than anyone in the NBA, outside of Klay Thompson, perhaps. But that's been years now. So you got to say, like, you've got amazing offense. You've got a double-double machine down low with Ayton, who has been getting better at defense in his 2 short years. You've got great wings. You've got depth at the wing. You've got offensive potential. You got defense. Like, everything checks off for this team to excel this year. And I think that moving into a direction where you can add Jrue Holiday for, Kelly Oubre 10, and, that would be fucking amazing for this team. That would make me, I'm not a Suns fan, that would make me a very happy Suns fan if I were, though. So and let me know, Phoenix, if I'm speaking out of turn. Like, apparently Knicks fans think I'm an idiot for getting the Knicks a point guard who puts up like 14, 8, and 6.
The Pelicans Nick trade.
Yeah.
I love how Knick fans clown on you for that. All the Pelican fans have been like, I like that deal. That's a good deal. Let's move up.
The problem is, the thing is when you have like people who don't agree, and it makes perfect sense. Both teams get what they need. The Knicks get a point guard sorry, it's off tangent, but like the YouTube commenters, I want to ask, like, you think that trade's dumb? Tell me what part of that deal doesn't work for you.
Kingy says he likes that deal.
Thank you, King. I appreciate that shit, because I really do try on some of these things. And I think that the Jrue Holiday, I love that Eric brought up the Jrue Holiday to the Suns, because I think that is a great deal. It's the question of,
You got to keep Booker happy. Are you going to win now with him, or are you eventually going to, hey, we got a young team, Booker doesn't fit in, and you're looking to trade him?
No, it's not Booker doesn't fit in. It's Booker demands trade.
It's just like
unhappy superstar. That's 100% what they have to look out for, because they've proved, and by they I mean players in the NBA, they proved they have the power. If I don't want to be here, I'm not going to be here.
Yeah.
You need to make this work for me. And Devin Booker, year after year, has been unhappy with this team. And I think this past season, he had his best success. And they want to capitalize on that and keep him happy. And adding Jrue Holiday to an already great lineup, an already good team, the options there are great, because then when Rubio comes off the court, they don't run into the issue where they have to deal with Cam Payne as their backup point guard or any bullshit like that. They got Jrue Holiday who can step over and be just fine. That offense continues. That defense is great. Like, everything about that works for me, Eric. It's just the question of if Jrue Holiday can bring the Pelicans more value somewhere else. That's my question back is, I think the Pels, as much as they like Jrue and they love Jrue for everything, they're going to do what's best for them. I don't think they want to trade him to a bad team, but if they can get a great value back, then absolutely they're going to look at that.
The last team that I want to throw out, and this is one that I just thought of, the Celtics. Could you see a move? Here's the proposed deal that I have. Maybe where I've added to it a little bit, because like the Celtics, the thing that I feel like Jrue Holiday could be an addition. Like, hey, we can get rid of Marcus Smart. Let's bring in Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is better than Marcus Smart. Like, we're defensively, offensively, though, he's better. That's the thing. To where, like, he brings more offense. The only question is that doesn't really help the Celtics in a position that they need, which is somebody down low that we keep saying. And, like, could we see a deal that's either, the first one I had was Jrue, Marcus, and the 14th overall pick, or you could say 26, one of the picks. We'll just say one of their picks. Hayward, Marcus, and one of their picks for Jrue Holiday. Or will the Celtics want something of like, hey, we get you're eating the contract, but hey, if we're giving you a draft pick on top of this, we want someone like Jackson Hayes. And it would be more of like a Jrue Holiday, Jackson Hayes for Hayward, Smart, and then 14, 26, 30, whichever pick the Pelicans and Celtics agree on.
I think they like Robert Williams more than Jackson Hayes, and I know the position of draft obviously is
because then they wouldn't be able to move up
higher. I don't even know, and this is gonna sound blasphemous. I don't know that Jrue Holiday is a big upgrade over Marcus Smart.
Okay, you don't think he adds more offense than I was thinking Jrue Holiday is better offensively than Marcus Smart.
I think they're relatively close. And for the contract difference, it's not worth it to me.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he is a game changer over Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart is one of those guys who does all the little things right and does the scumbag moves when it comes to flopping to get the refs' attention. He's a good shooter. He's improved that year over year pretty much. Obviously, last year, instead of jacking up, he was at 36% from three on 4 attempts in 2018-2019.
Yeah.
He jumped that up to 6.6 attempts a game, only dropped down to about 34%, just shy of 35%. So, like, incredible volume and league average shooting from 3. He can still move the ball. He can still get boards. Like, he does a very similar thing to Jrue Holiday. I think he's just a better contract. He's slightly less valuable than Jrue, but he's also a lot less money than Jrue.
Yeah.
That's my concern. Is like, I don't think he's a big enough jump for them to give up value. So, well, it would be nice. They don't need, and I agree with Kingy. Like, he is the heart of that team right now. So, because Kemba's got no heart, as we've all seen.
Dave, give him a reason to bash Kemba, man.
This is just a worldwide Kemba trash tour right now going on this show. That's all I do. Every single day, every single week, I can trash Kemba Walker. So thank you, Kingy, for bringing that up. I love the idea of trying to make that Celtics team better, but I don't think Jrue Holiday is the guy you target for that.
Yeah, my final piece on this before we move on is I think the Pelicans, in my mind, if I'm trading him to a team, I want a draft pick. Like, the main prize for me is a draft pick from this class that I can add on to my own, either to move up for somebody. Like, maybe there's someone in the top 10 that I really love and I want to get, or to kind of hit on two spots, because I do trust the front office that they have to hit on their picks to where like this could be a good draft class for the Pelicans, where it's like, yeah, there's not some like this is a weak draft class, but hey, we've done our research. We like two guys. We want to get those two guys. It's a scouter's dream.
It's a flat draft class, I would say. I don't know about weak, but flat. Eric brings up the Hawks, another interesting team. You're looking at the East. They do have potential to go after that. We were talking about
they want
to
trade that 6.
They were looking to trade the 6. There was pressure coming in from them to compete sooner than later. Ricky brought up. I saw rumors that they were looking to go get an Anthony Edwards, someone with the ability to ball handle and score for them to pair with Trey Young. So Holiday, Trey Young, great backcourt, absolutely possible. It just comes down to the cost, you know. I think Cam Reddish is untouchable.
Okay.
I think it's
I think it's DeAndre Hunter that gets moved over Cam Reddish.
Herder might even be the guy. I think the more I read, the more it looks like they really like Hunter, even though Herder is kind of like their de facto kind of like tweener. Like they play him 1 through 3
he was
supposed
to be their Klay Thompson.
He was supposed to be their Klay Thompson. And he's not on that Klay Thompson level, obviously. He's like discount Klay Thompson. And it's not to say he doesn't still have the potential to grow, because I think he's a good basketball player, but he does look like the odd man out on that team. So if you're not moving on from John Collins, Herder's probably the next guy who's going out of that roster. I think they like I said, I think they like Hunter. They invested a high pick in him. Herder, not a huge difference later, but late enough that like his fit on that team, he's expendable. Yeah. Now that you saw what Cam Reddish can do when the fucking lights are on, which, God, I love me some Cam Reddish.
And were you bashing him in the draft process? Or was that Sean?
No, he was Sean.
Okay.
He was my mystery box.
Okay.
I'm like, Cam Reddish could be the best player in this draft. Cam Reddish could be the worst player in this draft.
Because I remember I love Zion. Claimed him the next LeBron. I loved fucking Cam Reddish, and I was not a fan of RJ.
Yeah,
and I love Trey Jones.
Jake was on the Cam Reddish train. I think Sean might have been. I think we all kind of understood what Cam Reddish.
I thought there was somebody that was like that bashed Cam Reddish hardcore.
It was definitely Sean. I remember a rant where Sean did, but he was still one of those guys who was like,
one of the ones where he's got the notebook and he's like, I got stats. He's flipping them like the Jokic, like the Jokic one.
But yeah, no, like he's a guy he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of going after him. I just don't know what the Pelicans want back for him off that Hawks team. If we're saying that DeAndre Hunter might not be available, because then that does raise a question of like Herder plus their pick plus what other picks. Yeah. And then the question is, can the Hawks then flip another pick or another trade to go get like a Gordon Hayward? Because then they would be scary. If you go Trey Young, Holiday, Hayward, or Trey Young, Cam Reddish, Holiday, Hayward, 1 through 4 with Clint Capella if they keep Capella, or John Collins if they keep John Collins. Either one of those guys, whoever stays around between their trades, that would be fucking. That's a team in the East. Like that could be one of the most fun teams in the NBA. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I want to 2K that right now. Actually, let's go there.
Let's move on, Dave. Though moving on from trades, let's go into.
Did you update our title on YouTube?
I did.
On Twitch. Okay.
I did. I updated it. I did my job, Dave. Gee, half hour into the show, man, and we're useless now. But yeah, I did. I did that right away.
That's cool.
It's because you start watching during games live and you don't refresh.
And it doesn't update.
It doesn't. You got to refresh. So the next thing we're talking about is NBA start date. So Soapy and I talked about this one of the days you weren't on, Dave, because at the time it was like, oh, the NBA is thinking about starting on Christmas. So we talked about could an NBA Christmas start time be good? Well, now we've had some developments where the latest article to come out today from ESPN says player reps expected to approve December 22nd start to NBA season. The NBA Board of Governors and Players Association will hold a separate meeting on Thursday, expected to culminate in an agreement on starting the 2020-2021 season on December 22nd and playing a reduced 72-game schedule, sources told ESPN. The National Basketball Association is planning to take a formal vote of team player representatives late Thursday, and sources told ESPN that everything is progressing towards an agreement on a pre-Christmas start to the season. The NBPA is holding team conference calls this week, including several on Wednesday, that detail discussions with the league on a salary escrow for players in the range of about 18% for the next 2 years, sources told ESPN. This has also come with articles early in the week, like Adam Silver boosts the urgency on a pre-Christmas start. We've also had the talk of Danny Green on a podcast. He was on the Ringers NBA show podcast. Mm-hmm. And this is what he said. If we start in December, I think most guys are like, I'm not going to be there. If I had to guess, maybe we have a lot of the vets on our team. It's not like we have a lot of young guys or rookies to have that quick of a restart. I wouldn't expect to see LeBron there. I wouldn't expect to see him probably for the first month of the season. He'll probably be working out with us, but I just don't expect guys to want to be there or show up willingly. I think at this moment, and it might be different in 2 weeks when guys are like, all right, I'm going to be back in the gym, start working out. When we get back in the gym, it's not right. It's not right to basketball. It's all right. Let me start getting into shape, lifting a little bit and running around a little bit, and then I pick up a ball. Dave, I get the league wants to start on the 22nd because they're going to lose money this year because it's not going to be a regular year. They've probably looking at it with the last year with how much money was affected with last year. Is a pre-Christmas start ideal for the season, or should they look at it and go, we're probably going to have a better product if we wait a month, start what the proposed was like January 18th, start then, and have guys go from the 18th all the way through a 72-game season? What's your thought?
From the proposals I saw, it looked like they would be forced into a whole lot of back-to-backs if they went with that later start date. So I think that it would be a win to get them back before Christmas. I think that's a better bet for players and for teams and for the NBA as a whole. Because I think it was 24 back-to-backs would have been scheduled if they do the later start date, which stars aren't playing in back-to-backs already. So
and is that because they want the season to end in July to restart it, or end in June? No, the
season would end in August. From the later start date, the two write-ups I had seen was the later start date would mean that we're going to finish the season in August, and the December one was going to finish in July. So if you do that, it was 13 back-to-backs versus 24 proposed back-to-backs. Obviously, that's a big number. That's a lot of games that stars wouldn't play in already. So I am all for hey. Even if it's light minutes LeBron for the first couple games, not worried about it. You take your time, man. You want to play 10 minutes, you want to play a quarter, you feel good about it, great. Although, in my mind, LeBron James is a competitor.
Yeah.
That's all he's ever been in his career. He's never been the guy who's going to shy away. So I think it's a situation where he's going to play. I think a lot of those mid-tier guys might opt out, though. I shouldn't say mid-tier. I should say a lot of the guys who might be veterans in this league, but not on a big deal, might opt out of the season. I think that's not a lock that everybody's going to be happy to play right away without any changes to COVID and our solution or vaccine.
Because we would have to, it would be a bubble? Do they know that even, or just
it would not be a bubble. It would be like a regional thing they were talking about, though, as far as scheduling. So like I think you had mentioned before, if they go to New York, they're going to play the Knicks, they're going to play the Nets kind of thing. If they have games against them, they're going to play their series there instead of going a back forth kind of deal. If you're coming here, you're here for a couple games. So that would help limit exposure. That would help with travel limitations. it's a win-win.
Basically, basically like, for example, the Warriors. All right, you're in the upper northwest or upper northeast. You're playing the Knicks. You're playing the Nets. You're playing Boston. You're playing Washington. You're just going to do that round.
Right, but it might be like Knicks, Boston, Boston, Nets, Wizard. Like it could be where they're going to double up there. So that's the whole thing is, hey, we're going to just back-to-back these teams. It's not back-to-back days, but like, hey, you're going to play this team twice, maybe in 3 days, 4 days. Like, that's seemingly what they were planning for. Again, none of this is locked. This is all proposals. So things change very quickly.
And I mean, the vote, like if they're voting tomorrow, like, you'll know for sure answer. It's just, for me, the thing that I think of, and of course I am not thinking of a businessman, and that's part of it, where it's a business. You got to think about the money. The NBA doesn't want to lose money. By starting in December, you make sure you lose less money. But for me, because I'm a fan, I think of it as a product on the court. And if most of these vets, aka like Danny Green said, most of the Lakers, like that entire team almost, if they're not going to want to play the first month from December 22nd to like the end of January, are those games going to be like, I know the people like you, Dave, who are basketball junkies, will watch to watch. But I'm saying like the casuals, the maybe ones that fall in between casual and basketball junkie, will they look at it and go, you know what? I've got other shit I could watch. LeBron's not playing. The top tier guys aren't playing. Fuck it, I ain't gonna watch this game. I don't want to watch the backups play each other, basically. Like, could they be in that situation? You say it's like, some would say, oh, it's only a month, but it's like you're starting off your season then with like a kind of attitude from the non-hardcore NBA fans.
I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna call Danny Green a liar. This is a bluff. This is a calculated bluff by the Players Association to not have to deal with this. They want their timeline, and the NBA wants their timeline. They're obviously at different points with what their expectations are. I don't think that LeBron will want to go out there for the ring ceremony and not play. Yeah. I can't imagine that. I'm sorry. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If LeBron is healthy, he's playing basketball. Anthony Davis is healthy, he might play basketball. He's the one who I have a question about, not LeBron James. I never question LeBron's work ethic.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, I'm absolutely going to question his work ethic. He's standing on his ass for a year, got paid because he didn't like his team. Like, that's who he is.
The one guy we don't have to worry about, Dave, is Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy, after those finals ended, Jimmy never stopped. He's working out right now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a fucking player right there. Now, Danny Green, or as he's known in LA, Danny Red, because he can't hit a fucking shot.
Damn.
Now, he needs to shut his mouth. Okay. He's not someone who LA fans respect. He's not someone who they want to hear from. They want to hear from guys who actually matter in the league, guys who show up. Yeah. And that's not him. So his comments go noted, but ignored in my mind. I don't give them any weight. I give them no value. I think that he's someone who is just pointing out some words so that way the NBA Players Association has made their view public and they will rumor that, hey, if you want to bring us back in December, have fun with, G League caliber players because we're not playing. See, Eric's with me. Last guy I want to hear from. Fucking no show in the playoffs. Nobody wants to hear from Danny Green. Like he's a streaky shooter who's been on fantastic teams his whole career. Now, there are other guys who have done that, and none of them are really beloved players either. So it's just kind of his role. I think the problem is the NBA wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to make their money. They want to be able to get the stars out on the court. They want to make sure the product looks good. The best way to do that is to make the players and the executives at TV stations, media networks happy. So in my mind, a Christmas with basketball is one of the best Christmases you can have. Those games are always baller, and by starting on the 22nd, you give a warm-up game basically. So okay, we can get things rolling a little bit. They would have had like a couple weeks to get in shape, and then they'll have a warm-up game, which will be the first game of the season, which is fine. That's fine.
The thing that I think of though,
prime time, baby,
is so like the teams like the Bulls, the Knicks, the Warriors, like the teams that weren't in the bubble. I don't have a problem with this because they haven't what I'm going to bring up because
workouts.
They've had workouts, but like what I'm going to bring up, they're not going to be included in this because they haven't been playing games since Rudy Gobert contracted COVID. But like for those bubble teams and mainly like the Heat and the Lakers, and like you start with the Heat and Lakers and then go back through the teams that were still playing. I wonder how many, like you can say, oh, well, I'm playing basketball. I love it. There will be some people like that, but burnout is a thing in no matter
Daniel
what
House.
you are. Like burnout, yeah, not Daniel House, but burnout is a thing to where I wonder how many of these guys is like, for example, the ones that were late, is 2 months enough off to where it's like, you want to be able to go see your family, spend time with them because you've been away from them. Now you're going to be away from them again. You don't get that. Some people might have the mindset of like, well, you know what? That's the job. But will there be other guys that are like either I didn't get to spend enough time with my family. They start to get burnt out with it because it's like, no matter what you do, you need to take breaks from things. And my only worry is the amount of break for the later teams going to be enough? Or is it like Danny Green says, where like the players that were playing late go, you know what, I can take off the first month of the season. It ain't going to hurt us. And I'll come back after that. Like you said, it remains to be seen. We'll have to see if it's a bluff or it's not. But like, that's what I think. Players being like, well, I just got off, man. Like I want at least a little time off before I have to go back to work.
See, here's the dumb thing, though. Sure, it looked like a game or two mattered a whole fucking lot in the Western Conference to get into the playoffs. Did it not? Now, if you're a player on one of those teams who is fighting for a slot in the playoffs, can you afford to take off a month's worth of time and still expect your team to be in the playoff picture? Now, that's a big fucking question. A lot of people we look at the contract situation going into next year, and there are a lot of people who are free agents. I think it was like a really dumb percentage, like 60-some percent, 50-some percent.
I'm more so looking at like the Lakers, the Heat, the Celtics, the Nuggets. Like the Suns, they had more time off than those teams because like they were done when the regular season had ended. So were the Grizzlies. So like with those teams, I don't expect a lot of guys to be like you could say, well, Ricky, what, it's an extra month? Like what could that mean? You may be right. Some of those guys may say I want a little bit more time too. But like, especially for the finals teams, 2 months, maybe a month and a half, that's all you got. And it's like, some people might be okay with that on those teams, but there might be other guys that are like, come on, I want a little bit of a break. Like, I want to be able to, like, to me, it's more of the spend time with your family, like, and that side of it, not the side of like, I want to sit on the couch and watch TV. No, it's not like that.
Let me just put it this way, and this is totally me just projecting. We've people who are home have now spent more time with their family perhaps than they ever have before.
Yeah, but NBA players
are acclimated. No, that's what NBA players are acclimated to be on the road. That is their jam. So having a 2-month period where you're home every day with your family, I'm not saying it's a choice, but I am saying that the idea of being back on the road again might not be the worst thing in the world for a lot of these guys.
It's funny that you bring that up because, yet again, he is a younger guy. Josh Hart put out a tweet, Soapy showed it to me, that was basically like, man, we need to go back to playing basketball. My girlfriend's giving me shit to do. And it's a to-do list on the fridge. So, I mean, there may be guys like that, but like, to me, I look at it and go,
goose egg valid.
Will there be an effect on this season because of a shortened off season? That's the effect that I take in and what I think about. Because obviously there's a reason why we have off seasons in sports. But Dave, the next thing we're moving into, last NBA thing, is draft talk. James Wiseman, according to Brian Windhorst, on the Scoop with Dougie podcast, he shared what he is hearing from the league sources. And here's what he says. Wiseman does not want to come to Minnesota because Karl Anthony Towns is there. From what I understand, Wiseman doesn't even want to do anything with the Wolves. Thoughts on Wiseman's comments or Windhorst's comments about Wiseman?
I think the concern is Wiseman thinks he will be in a limited role because he has to play next to Cat. He thinks he can be better if he doesn't have to share space in spacing with someone else who's a big, who is got a similar profile to him, perhaps. So if they expect him to stay in the low post all game, that's not his game. James Wiseman can stretch the floor a little. He thinks he's Anthony Davis out there. Whether he is or isn't doesn't matter, because in his mind, he believes that he's most effective when he can attack the low post and when he can space out the floor. If you have Cat out there, that can reduce his profile in the game. So I totally understand why he wouldn't want to play with Cat out there. Now, is it going to happen? Who knows? If a player's telling a team, don't draft me, I don't want to play next to your superstar, that sends a fucking message, though.
We've talked about that already on the NFL side, what that might happen or could happen.
Yep. Shouldn't happen, though, because otherwise he's a coward.
Yep. Dave doubling down.
I'll trip him down. This is different. This is not, I don't want to go there because they suck. This is, I don't want to go there because I think I won't be able to play at my best level. Yeah. Because you already have someone who overlaps skill set wise with me.
I mean, to me, I'm on the side of, I said it about Trevor Lawrence, I'll say it about this, I love it. To where it's like, I feel like guys, yes, a draft is, if you get drafted by the team, like, go ahead and play for that team. I hate guys that are like, I'm going to hold out because I don't want to play for this team kind of a thing. That's different. But like in this sense, the thing I love about it is the T-Wolves are already questioning who they should pick at number 1. And if Wiseman or his agent or anybody, like, to me, it's either him or his agent that is putting this out into the sphere.
Yep.
The thing that I love about it is it's basically telling them, the Timberwolves, you're already questioning who you should pick. Take me off the list because I'm telling you how I feel. To where it's like, you don't want to fuck up this pick. I'm telling you, if you draft me, you're fucking up this pick. And that's why for me, it's like, I kind of like it to where it's like kind of leverage. Now for me, the Hornets could be in play, could trade up for James Wiseman.
Why would they trade up now that they just heard this? The T-Wolves just lost all fucking credibility. We could take him.
The only reason I think the Hornets would need to trade up is because I think if Wiseman's there too, if like the T-Wolves took Edwards, Wiseman's going to the Warriors if they make that pick. But yet again, if they make that pick, because we don't know what's going to happen with the top 4. Dave, no break in the show, no wet boys going on. We're going to a sport that people love that we talk about, Dave. This is the best sport that people think we talk about, right? A little bit of MMA, UFC.
A lot of shit too.
Baseball, UFC. So there was an interesting, this was coming over the weekend. Had to be pushed to today because of everything we had with Football Friday, or Football Monday yesterday. But Dana White was talking and basically made comments that the next fight for Israel Adesanya will be to move up a division to face, I'm going to screw up this name, Jan Blachowicz, the Polish guy, Blachowicz, the Polish guy who just had won his belt at the last pay-per-view, not the last one, but the one before 254, 253, I believe it was, that I was watching. Dave, the question is, Adesanya wants to move up. Is he going to be the next champ that we see? The next 2-belter like we saw Conor McGregor? Or does it not even mean, like, make a deal at all?
Kind of just seems like a cash grab from Dana White here. Trying to bring some juice to UFC during these times. Like, this is a situation where I know our commentators are like, oh, Adesanya is a draw. What are you talking about? Look at the numbers. Look at the pay-per-view sales. Look at the ratings. Like, that's, if you think he's on the same level as a Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, like, you're insane. He's not, and you need to get over yourself and look at the fucking facts. So
I think he can be. He's just not yet.
Champ is a situation where, hey, this could be history again. We could have the 4th ever champ in UFC history.
Yeah.
It could be a big deal. It absolutely could be. Is he good enough to beat Jan? That one's a matchup I haven't dug into a ton. Yeah. But if he takes a fight, hell yeah! Like, why not? Like,
well, because I mean, even Jan winning that title, he was the underdog in that fight. Like, it wasn't expected for him to win it. So when he did, it was like, holy shit, he's now the champ. And like, the thing I find the funniest about it in the comments from Dana White is it says, regarding the Adesanya-Jan fight, White said he met with Adesanya this past week in Vegas. The initial plan was to have Adesanya face Robert Whittaker in a rematch. But White said Whitaker said in interviews last week that he didn't want a title fight right now, which White called the craziest shit he's ever heard. Which I kind of agree with him, where it's like, yo, bro, we're going to give you a title fight. Nah, bro, I don't want that. I don't want a title fight.
I don't know the reasoning behind it, but that does seem a bit strange.
So basically, this was Adesanya wants to go up and try it, and go up and try to do the 2-2. He would have to add on weight though, because
that's usually easier. Like that's
taking
going
off
is
sucks.
easier than taking off. Yeah, like that was the whole thing. Like Conor got to the point where like he looked like Skeletor in his last fight as a lighter weight class, and like.
And isn't there some weird rule that they can like lose the weight, get below it, and then like don't have to keep that weight, and then can gain some of it back before the fight? That's
the whole thing with that is basically they dehydrate themselves massively going into the last 24 hours, 48 hours before a fight to cut down. The problem was that guys rehydrating back up previously had access to IVs for fluids to rehydrate quickly. They no longer do. So gaining back that weight and that hydration, a little more difficult now. We've seen some effects of guys who looked a little exhausted without that. But for the most part, these guys do insane weight cuts, and it's apparently just part of the job and the expectations.
Yeah.
But going up's easy. Add mass, add muscle, no problemo. Like, these guys are going around at like that's probably closer to their walking weight than it is than what they're dropping down to. So their cuts are less. You know, they're able to add a little more muscle mass. Like everything works out.
Yeah, and the other thing that I know Dana White mentioned that might not be a big thing to other people, but it may be, is he's not stripping the belt off Khabib yet. Khabib's going to keep the belt even though he retired. I'm thinking that's also because Dana White's made comments that he doesn't think Khabib is actually done.
And he doesn't want to, he wants that fight confirmed for Conor, first. That's the answer.
The one that he wants in Texas, Dave? The one that he wants to take place in that Texas stadium,
Telling you, as soon as that fight signs, that belt's on the line.
Yeah. Dave, the last thing we're going to do is go into the football world. 2 topics here. The first one, Cowboys. It's official. They're starting Cooper Rush. They're the 4th quarterback they will be starting this season. And the question has been thrown out there. This was thrown out by the herd, Dave. So he only threw 1 name. I'm giving you 2 names. Based off where the Cowboys finish in the draft, should they be looking at either Justin Fields or Trey Lance, figuring that Trevor Lawrence will be a Jet at number 1? Should quarterback be on the mind for the Jets this draft season with Fields or Lance?
No, you have Dak Prescott. Pay the man. It's so easy. Like people who think Dak is going to walk are insane. Dak Prescott's going to be a Cowboy for another 4 years, maybe 3 years, depending on whatever deal they get done. I don't know. That's up to them. But Dak will be back next year. This is a situation where he had a bad injury. It sucks. But guess what? He'll be back. He'll be fine. And there's no way that they're going to take a quarterback at the top of this class. They might trade out of that spot, but I think they do need a lot of help on the defense. So if there's an elite pass rusher there, if there's someone who brings an elite skill set, that's who's going. I don't think they go quarterback. I don't think they entertain that idea unless it's to bait people to trade up to get that quarterback, in which case, sure, they can sell back, adds more value, get some more picks, get some veterans on that team maybe. Who knows?
To me, this was it's an interesting thought. So the first thing I'm going to say before anyone tries to put words in my mouth is I agree with you. If I was Jerry Jones, what I would be doing is basically paying Dak. He's the future quarterback, but also there could be people on the other side that are like, you don't know how he's going to come back from the injury. I think he's going to come back fine. He's your future quarterback. Pay Dak. That's what you got to do. But let's say Jerry Jones is an idiot, because he is, and doesn't want to pay Dak. Well, then I think the only position you put yourselves in is to franchise Dak. You have to then take a quarterback, because you're either letting Dak walk or you're going to try to trade Dak to get something out of him. And to me, the interesting part about them drafting a quarterback this year is I know like Colin Cowherd said, oh, they should try to get Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is going to be there, Dave. And the reason why I say that is right now,
it's a bold claim.
Like, first off, Tankathon. And yet again, Tankathon is its own crazy.
It's one guy. Yep.
They've got all the quarterbacks. He's got all the quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. I don't agree with that. I don't have the Giants taking Justin Fields. He's got Lawrence, Fields, Lance, 1, 2, 3, Jets, Giants, Jacksonville.
No chance. 0 chance. I will put money down today if Vegas had a bet for that shit.
To me, though, 2 of them. Jacksonville to me is the pick where it's like if Justin Fields is there and you're not like there's already questions about Gardner Minshew with them benching him, not benching him. Are they going to? I think Justin Fields could be gone if Jacksonville's ahead of them. Yeah. He could be gone there to where it's like right now the Cowboys at 5, order could change, but Cowboys at 5, it's like, well, do I go with somebody I could use or do I go with Trey Lance because I'm an idiot and don't want to re-sign Dak Prescott? Like, that could be where they are, but at the same time, Trey Lance to me is an enigma right now, only because I think after the Jacksonville, Dallas could take him, but I don't think so. Atlanta could take him. I don't think so. Washington can take him. I don't think so. And he could basically fall all the way to like Indy at 22 or even as low as like the Saints at 27 because there's not a lot of teams at this moment that are going to want to draft a quarterback in the first round. So like he's the one that I look at and I go, Cowboys could draft him, but at the same time, he could go as high as top 10 or as low as past 20.
Yeah, no, a lot of those teams that you mentioned definitely don't have the need. It would be a luxury kind of a pick for them.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing to watch for is like Washington's team who perhaps could look at like snagging, Cam Newton or even a Matt Ryan. Yeah. And it's offseason if the Falcons are so inclined. So like maybe there are some teams who would be more comfortable with a veteran quarterback back there, which means, hey, does that push the Falcons into a situation where they're like, hey, we can move on from Matt Ryan and we can add in like our guy of the future right now, like, or is it a situation where you'd rather have a Lance sit behind Matt Ryan for a year because we know that Lance is perhaps the least prepared quarterback because he's only played in an exhibition game this season.
I mean, like you mentioned earlier this year, he's played last year, but this year only had the one game.
Yeah, so it does beg a lot of questions to be answered. I mean, the whole situation is just interesting because Eric mentions, the Cowboys are messed up for a long time. They should have traded Prescott if they didn't give him the extension he asked for. Like, I think we hypothetical this out before, and it kind of came down to the line of if you're tanking. Like, my thought was, if you're tanking, the logical answer is you go after that Fields. You go after who you think is the best available quarterback with your position in the draft. I don't think they can catch up to the Jets at the top, but I think Fields, if they can get him at 2, 3, 4, 5, if he's there, they should go for him. They should do a franchise tag on Dak and then trade him to get more value. Like, the whole idea is this defense sucks so badly that like you need multiple pieces to fix it. And you have to move on from guys who maybe didn't want to, but your timeline's broken. You thought you had a window to compete for the championship. Shit, even just a playoff run.
Yeah.
And Dak was a big part of that because his offensive skill set could overcome. He plus Zeke plus Amari Cooper on that offensive end were very good. Now, CeeDee Lamb, that's what you get. That's what you get for that pick.
He was doing. See, here's the thing. He was doing well with Dak out there.
It doesn't matter if he was doing well. Could you imagine if they had gone for a player on the defensive end who had an impact? Like that's the point. It's
every single year we go, oh man, the Cowboys really should use a defensive player, and then they don't.
Where do they need help, and where can they address those needs? And just the blindness of, well, the value is too good to pass up.
Yeah,
it doesn't work in the NFL. In the NBA, 100% works. I don't care if I have a point guard. If the best player on the board is a point guard, you take a point guard. It doesn't fucking matter. But in the NFL, you have needs. You need fit in the NFL. And if you don't have a pass rush, that means you're getting absolutely roasted on the back end because your corners are being asked to do too much, which means other teams can roll with it. And then once they exhaust your corners, your pass rush is weak. Maybe they can get some run option plays going off on you. Like it just tumbles. You start to roll downhill and it gets real ugly. So that's where I look at this team and I look at Dallas and go, has your window closed? Do you need to just say, hey, line in the sand. We're going to franchise tag Dak again. We will look to move on from him in a deal. We will pick up Fields with our draft pick, and we will move other guys to pick up depth on that defense. Young prospects who have upside, who have potential, who I'm not paying $1 billion for.
Yeah.
And hey, let's do this smart. Or you just say, hey, do the reasonable thing, re-sign Dak, do what you can in free agency, draft yourself a great pass rusher. Problem solved. Like two approaches. Neither one's more right than the other in my mind. I would just love to see them pick one and go with it. I'm afraid they're going to be in the middle somewhere and do something dumb.
Well, the thing, and I agree with Eric where he says the Cowboys are stuck. First off, the refs Monday night fucked over not just the Giants, but they fucked the Cowboys if you want Fields, because the Giants are now 1-7. They could have been 2-6, and the Cowboys have a worse strength of schedule to where if the Giants won that game, they would have went from being the number 2 pick right now all the way to being the number 5 pick, and Dallas would have been up at number 4. The thing why I agree with Eric saying the Cowboys are stuck is the two teams between the Giants and the Cowboys right now, even if the Cowboys are like, we're tanking, we want Fields, they need Houston to win. They need Houston and Jacksonville to win a game. To me, it's like, yes, it can happen any given Sunday. Some of those games can happen, but like those teams are bad. And if those teams also decide, hey, our season's done, we're just going to tank, that's not going to, like, Dallas's future in getting a higher pick is not solely in their hands. The only one who has that is the Jets. The Jets can lose every game. Boom, they're the number 1 pick.
They're fully capable of that.
The future, they can even try and do that. Let's be honest, unless they're playing the Bills. They almost beat you, Buffalo. But like that's what the thing where like Dak winning those 2 games for them before he got injured might be the thing to fuck them, because they might have a win too many to go ahead and get that quarterback. Because yet again, the draft is far enough away, but like how the storylines are shaking, I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence to go 1, and even, let's say Trevor does go back. Let's feed that narrative. Justin Fields becomes the number 1 pick. So then it's like, okay, Fields is gone. So like, even you could do enough to get to 3 and still get fucked in the end, because we don't know what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I agree with you. Pay Dak. He's the better quarterback. You had a quarterback and you're like, nope, don't want this one.
As a Bears fan, hold on to your quarterbacks who can play the position. Don't let them go for anything. Like that's your jam. Stick with it. I'm sure the Patriots wish they had a quarterback right now. That would solve a lot of their problems. Don't make the dumb move.
Dave, the last thing we're talking about is the 49ers. And the reason why is not because of COVID, shockingly.
Well, they do have it.
They do have it. Their facility was shut down. Wide receiver Bourne has tested positive. The reason why I'm bringing up the 49ers today is because the Jimmy Garoppolo, Adam Schefter put out a tweet today that he is capished and he is done this season. He's out for the season. Kittle's out for the rest of the regular season. Moster can return by week 10 or 11. I think it's week 10 that they said he could come back. But basically with the Niners, Jimmy G's done, Kittle's done, Mostert's done for 2 more weeks at least. Are the Niners done? Are they toast, Dave, and can kiss their playoff chances goodbye?
It looks pretty much wrapped for them. They fought a good fight this year, but again, the injury bug just killed them. There's no way around it. It's just this is a team that was ready to compete. They have the talent to compete at the highest level, but injuries took away that chance. And I don't have an answer of how this team can win like 6 more games with the talent that's left on that roster right now. I mean, they've looked good enough in some situations to be bad teams, but you can't compete with good teams when you're missing 7 key guys on that team.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at the standings for the NFC, and if the playoffs started today, Seahawks would get the bye, Bucks would be at 2, Packers would be at 3. Oh, by the way, Packers-Niners are going on tomorrow. So we'll be talking about that one at the beginning of the show. Then the Eagles, because the East is a mess. But then like you look at the 5, 6, and 7, the 3 wild card spots. The Saints are 5-2, the Cardinals are 5-2, and the Rams are 5-3. And I know that you're like, ooh, that 5-3, they're only 1 game back. The Bears are also there at 5-3. The Lions are also there at 3-4. So I mean, I guess the Lions are still in it. Guess I wouldn't be saying that. To where it's like, I look at it and I go, if I'm the Niners without Jimmy G, can Nick Mullins beat your next 4 games? Packers, Saints, Rams, and Bills. Bills have struggled. Rams, if Goff sucks, you can win. But like your next 2 are losses in my mind. You're not beating the Packers. You're not beating Drew Brees at home. So like, I agree. You're going to go to 4-6 and then have to try to come back and win.
Yeah, it puts them in a really tough position. I don't believe there's a clear route out for them. I mean, if Nick Mullins turns into Steve Young, sure, but I mean, they're just, you named off like 6 guys, and they already were coming in this year not 100% healthy. So like, it's just too much. This is a team where, hey, great job. Let's see who's going to be on the team next year. Let's give the depth guys out there some time, and hey, find out who's a long-term player on this team.
Yeah, like
not just say cut Jimmy G, Eric. The Bears would sign him today.
So that is one thing I did not want to give air to, but because Eric said it, Colin Cowherd said the same thing, that Jimmy G is done in San Francisco. He is done in San Francisco. I say no. Jimmy G is good.
Sign him. The Chicago Bears would sign him. The Jaguars would sign him. The Jets would sign him.
Oh, there's teams that would love to have Jimmy G, Dave.
Yeah, look, as bad as he's looked this year, he has so much good quarterback play left in him.
I think it's injury. That's the biggest thing with him.
Injuries suck. We get it.
Like, because this isn't the first time he's even been injured.
But it's like, what level of injury? Is it like, is it the same ankle every time? Has he gotten like 6 high ankle sprains? No.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if you're a guy who has a fucked up collarbone or shoulder, you keep re-injuring it. I understand. That's a stay away, but when it's just different injuries happening, you just have to chalk it up to like, that's unlucky. That's not injury prone, know?
It's kind of like how in the NBA, you bring up Steph Curry's injuries so much because it's always the same ankle. Like,
correct. He has bad ankles. He wears specific braces. He wears shoes. Everything he does is calculated around increasing and strengthening those ankles through drills, workouts, every supportive thing you can do for that. But like, that's a weakness that he has to live with.
Yeah.
And that will always be, there for him. So when it comes to Jimmy G, different world in my mind. I don't look at him the same way.
Yeah, if I had to predict how the next games are going to go, your next 3, Packers, Saints, Rams, are all losses. You're at 4-7. The Bills toss up. You'll beat Washington. You'll beat Dallas. So then you're at, right now, what would that be? 6-7. Lose to Arizona. Lose to Seattle. You're at 9 losses in that Buffalo. The Buffalo game will be the decider if you go 6-10 or 7-9. Like, this is not going to be a good year. Niners are done. I'm sorry for Niner fans because I was high on you guys at the beginning of the season. I had you, Seahawks, and Rams all at the top. Dave was the high one on the Cardinals. I should have bought in on them because they've only got 2 losses. Eric
How
says
low
6
did I have the 49ers going? I'm just curious.
I can look it up. We got time. Yeah. I feel like I love doing those predictions because we go back to it so much.
I do like to reference because it's like, were they right? Were they wrong?
Dave, was I right? That's basically what Dave wants to know.
100%. Because I know I was talking shit about some teams. I don't remember which ones.
The Niners you did. I know you did with the Niners because
I felt like I was low on the Niners compared to you. I might have had them at 6-10, like Eric's dropping out there.
Let's see. Going on. Let's see. Load it up. Come on. Loading
up. We're stalling for time here. Eric, I love that you've been happy all show, jumping in the chat section. I was incredibly high on the Dolphins as well, who looks like I might be right. Even though I was wrong about their starter, I might be right at the end of the day. And that's all that matters is at the end of the day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I had the Niners at 13-3. And the Cardinals at 6-10.
Oh no, Ricky. Oh no.
Okay, so Dave, your standings for the West were Seahawks at 12-4.
On the Rams.
You had the Cardinals at 9-7. You had the 49ers at 9-7 and the Rams at 6-10.
Dang, I had the Rams and Niners swap pretty much.
Yeah, and then I had the Niners at 13-3. I had the Seahawks at 12-4, the Rams at 11-5, and the Cardinals at 6-10.
So happy, NFC West. Y'all are ballers.
Yeah,
you make the NFC least look just god awful out there. So shout out to you. You all have good teams. 49ers, don't be moping too much. You'll be back competing for, heavy playoff runs next year.
Isn't it Bosa who got injured early in the year for them? He was done.
Don't remember anymore. Don't even remember. This season has had so many injuries that it hurts your soul. 2020 has been an awful year for everyone, and I don't think that anyone will miss it.
The thing we can say, though, is in the East, I think both of us were right, because you had the Cowboys at 9-7, not a great record.
Maybe.
Eagles at 8-8. Eagles 8-8, Giants 5-11, Washington 2-14. I had the Eagles at 10-6. I might be right that they win, but nowhere near 10-6.
Yeah.
Cowboys at 7-9. That might be a stretch. 5-11 Washington, 4-12 New York. So at least we weren't that high on the NFC East.
We all know where the problems are in this league, but it's good lineup for the Niners. I just next year, baby. Toss up to next year already.
Thank you guys for everything you do. That's going to wrap up MVP Sports for today. Remember, join the best community on the internet. Link down below in the description or / Discord in Twitch chat. Also, if you want to become a sponsor, want to become part of the best sponsors on the internet, patreon.com/MVPvids. That's how you do that. You can also subscribe at twitch.tv/MVPvids, where we're live every Monday through Friday. And we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Hey, look at that. Soapy in the chat saying Dave was also super high on the Dolphins. Soapy said he was going to bed. That's why I was excited to see him into Twitch chat. But
from his nap.
That is going to do it for us. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for everything that you do, watching, listening, supporting, and as always, have a good day, everybody.